Good morning, students. Today we shall read the poem A Legend of the Northland. It is the fifth poem from the book Beehive. A Legend of the Northland by Phoebe Carey is based on a story from the Old Testament in the Bible. In the ballad, Phoebe Carey, she is a poetess, reminds us what happens when we cannot bring ourselves to share with those in need. The legend, which is set in the snow-covered polar region is quite famous and has been passed on through generations. The poet doesn't believe in the authenticity of the story, but yet is tempted to share the story because of the moral it teaches. Mythology or mythological stories may not relate to reality, but they always carry a good message, and that's why the poet is narrating the story. A Legend of Northland is a ballad. A ballad is a song narrating a story in short stanzas. Ballads are a part of folk culture or popular culture and are passed on orally, not written. How do they pass? Orally, from one generation to the next generation. So let's begin the explanation of the poem, A Legend of the Northland. So let's begin the explanation of the poem, A Legend of the Northland. Away, away in the Northland, where the hours of the day are few and the nights are so long in winter that they cannot sleep them through. So in this stanza, in the region around the North Pole, that is Northland, the duration of the day is very less because its position is such that the sun's rays reach for a very less time. When this area is experiencing winter season, the duration of night is very long and the daytime hours are very less. See the line fourth, they, T-H-E-Y, they refers to the people who live in this region. The poetess says that the duration of the night time is so long that the people cannot sleep them through. If they go to bed, take few hours of sleep, and then they wake up, it is still night time. Okay, she wants to emphasize on the fact that the duration of the night is very long here in this part of the region. Now, stanza 2, where they harness the swift reindeer to the sledges when it snows, and the children look like bear's cub in their funny furry clothes. Now you can see the meanings of difficult words to the left side of the page. Northland means a place located in the far north of Europe. Reindeer means animal found in the Northland. Sledges means animal drawn carriage used for transportation over snow, and hearth means fireplace. And see, to harness means to tie the reindeer with a rope to a sledge so that it can be used for the transportation. Okay, actually reindeer, they are used to draw the carriage in the snow region. Okay, and swift means that runs fast. Swift means fast, tremendous. Now the Northland region experiences severe cold conditions. It is snowy area. The reindeer is an animal which is found in this polar region. People tie the reindeers to sledges and then the reindeer pull the sledges. Okay, then poetess adds that the children look like young ones of a bear because they wear funny looking clothes made of fur, which is like the furry skin of a bear. Now stanza 3rd. They tell them a curious story. I don't believe this true, and yet you may learn a lesson if I tell the tale to you. See, curious means strange. Okay. In line first, they refers to the parents or elders, and them refers to the children or the younger generation. So the elders of the Northland region tell a strange story, or you can say interesting story, to their children. The poet says that he doesn't think that the story is true, but if she tells the story to the reader, maybe the reader could learn a lesson from it. The story gives an important message to us. Now, stanza 4. Once when the good Saint Peter lived in the world below and walked about it, preaching, just as he did, you know. Now, Saint Peter, he was a preacher. Understand? Preaching means to give a religious talk. So this story is about a saint named Saint Peter. When Saint Peter used to live on the earth, he went around giving religious lectures to the people. Okay, he preached his sermons to the people, roaming here and there, just like all saints do. Then an incident happened. Okay, now see the next paragraph. He came to the door of a cottage in traveling round the earth, where a little woman was making cakes and baking them on the hearth. Now, hearth means fireplace where we do cooking. So what happened now when Saint Peter was roaming, or you can say moving here and there around the world to preach his sermons, giving religious lectures to the people, he reached the door of a cottage where a small means she was short in height. Okay, she was old lady. So where that old lady or old woman was making cakes. She was baking the cakes in the fireplace. Now stanza 6. And being faint with fasting, for the day was almost done, he asked her from her store of cakes to give him a single one. Now faint means to be weak. Okay, unconscious. So what happened, as Saint Peter had not eaten anything the entire day, as he was keeping fast, he was very hungry and was feeling very weak. So he went to the woman who was baking cakes and asked for one of the cakes out of the many cakes that she had baked. Okay. Now next, so she made a very little cake, but as it baking lay, she looked at it and thought it seemed too large to give away. Meaning, the woman was very selfish. She did not want to give cake from her store. Instead, she started making very, very small cakes for Saint Peter. She didn't want to share her things, but when she put the cake for baking, she looked at it and thought that the cake was too big to give to Saint. Okay. Now next stanza. Therefore she needed another and still a smaller one, but it looked, when she turned it over, as large as the first had done. Kneaded means to make dough from flour, atta gundhna. Okay, so kneaded means to make dough from flour, or you can say that molded the dough off. So what happened now? The little miser woman thought that the cake was too big to give to Saint Peter, so she started making another smaller cake. Then she realized this is also bigger. Then she started making another small cake for Saint Peter. When she looked at that cake, she again felt that it was as big as the previous one. Then again she was not ready to give this smaller cake to even smaller cake to Saint Peter. Okay. Now next stanza. Then she took a tiny scrape of dough and rolled it flat and baked it thin as wafer, but she couldn't part with that. See, now see the meaning of scrape of dough means a piece of fermented bread. This is fermented, actually the spelling is written wrong. This is fermented, this should be fermented. Okay, scrape of dough means a piece of fermented bread. Now the meaning. Now the third time she took a very small amount of dough and rolled it. The poetess says that she rolled and rolled to lay emphasis on the fact that she rolled the dough and made it very thin like a wafer and baked it. But she was so greedy that she could not give that even that thin piece of bread to the Saint Peter. Now next stanza. For she said, my cakes that seem too small when I eat of them myself are yet too large to give away. So she put them on the shelf. You can see the meanings of difficult words to this side of to the left side of the page. Wafer, a thin crisp cake. And then next is now the meaning of the paragraph. Now, the women reasoned that when she ate the cakes, she felt that they were very small. But if she had to give them to someone, she felt that they were too big to be given to anyone. So she puts all the cakes on the shelf of her kitchen and she did not give any of the cakes to Saint Peter. Understand? Now next stanza. Then good Saint Peter grew angry, for he was hungry and faint, and surely such a woman was enough to provoke a saint. Okay, provoke means cause a particular feeling or cause to get angry. Now meaning of this paragraph or stanza. Saint Peter became very angry. He was very hungry. He was feeling very weak, and the selfish woman was not ready to give him even a small cake. This behavior of the greedy women angered the Saint Peter. Understand? Why did he become angry? Because he was hungry and he was feeling very weak, and selfish women was not ready to give him even a small cake. Okay, so this behavior caused anger. Now next stanza. And he said, you are far too selfish to dwell in a human form, to have both food and shelter and fire to keep you warm. Now dwell means to live. Understand? So when Saint Peter became angry, he cursed the women and said that she was very selfish and she did not deserve to live like a human being. He said that God had given her food, shelter, fire to keep her warm, but she had become selfish. For all the resources she had, she did not want to share them with anybody. Means she did not want to share her resources with anyone who are in need. Now next stanza. Now you shall build as the birds do, and shall get your scanty food by boring and boring and boring all day in the hard dry wood. Okay, some meanings are the next page. We'll see next time. Now Scanty means very little. Boring means make a hole. Boring. Do you know boring? Like making a hole in something which with a tool by digging the earth with the tool. So now what happened? Saint Peter cursed the women that hence she would become a bird because she didn't deserve human form. She shall become a bird, and just like birds build their houses by boring into the wood, which bird just build a nest by boring? Woodpecker. Okay, so Saint Peter said that now she would become a, or she shall become a bird, just like a bird build its nest or its house by boring into the wood and collect very little food by working hard the entire day. Similarly, she would also work hard in the dry wood and all day and get little food and make a small place for herself to live in. Now, next. Then up she went through the chimney, never speaking a word, and out of the top flew a woodpecker, for she was changed to a bird. Now what happened? When Saint Peter cursed her, as soon as he cursed her, she did not get a chance to speak a single word to Saint Peter, because that very moment she flew up to the roof through the chimney and flew out in the form of a bird. It means she came out of the house in the form of a bird. Okay, Saint Peter's curse had converted the woman into a woodpecker. Now next stanza. She had a scarlet cap on her head, scarlet, okay, cap on her head, and that was left the same, but all the rest of her clothes were burned black as coal in the flame. Now scarlet means a bright red color, brilliant red color. Okay, now what happened now? When she turned into woodpecker, at that time she was wearing a red colored cap on her head. This cap was there on the bird's head still, but the women's remaining clothes had burned and turned black in color just like coal. Understand? Now the last stanza, that is stanza 16. And every country school boy has seen her in the wood, where she lives in the trees till this very day, boring and boring for food. Okay. Country means belonging to the countryside, village, rural areas. Okay. Now, people who live in the countryside in this region, even the small children who go to school, can see this bird. Okay. This kind of bird in the woods, in the forest. They see that she stays there all day and keeps her on digging. Boring means digging the wood with her beak to collect her food. Whenever any child sees this kind of bird, then his elders, means parents, tell him the story. They say that the bird used to be a woman earlier. She was very greedy, and so she was cursed by Saint Peter and turned into a bird. They get a teaching that they should not be greedy. Now, let's discuss poetic devices in the poem. First of all, we will discuss rhyme scheme in the poem. So children, rhyme scheme refers to the order in which particular words at the end of each line rhyme. The first end sound is represented as the letter A, the second is B, okay, and so on. If the alternate words rhyme, it is an AB rhyme scheme, which means A is the rhyme for the lines 1 and 3 and B is the rhyme affected in the lines 2 and 4. Example, see the line. First, away, away in the north land. This will be A. Where the hours of the day are few. This will be marked as B. And the nights are so long in winter. It will be marked as C. That they cannot sleep them through. Then again it will be marked as B. Okay, as it is rhyming with the word of second line few. Through, few. Okay, or few, through. Then imperfect rhyme, also known as partial, near or slant rhyme, occurs when a poet deliberately changes the spellings or pronunciation of word so that it rhymes with the last word of another line in the stanza. Use of imperfect rhyme is fairly common in folk poetry. So it is also here in this present poem. Example, where they harness the swift reindeer. See the second stanza of the poem. Where they harness the swift reindeer to the sledges when it snows, and the children look like bear's cub in their funny furry clothes. So we can say that here the poetess deliberately changes the spelling or pronunciation of word so that it rhymes with the last word of another line in the stanza. And this is use of imperfect rhyme that is fairly common in folk poetry or in a ballad. Understand? So this is all about the rhyme scheme. Now let's talk about other poetic devices used in the poem. There is use of imagery in the poem. Imagery is a poetic device wherein the author uses words or phrases that appeal to any of the senses, means eyes, ears, or any combination of senses to create mental images for the reader. Imagery helps the reader to visualize more realistically the author's writings. Imagery is not limited to only visual sensations but also refers to ignite. So in A Legend of Northland we find sensory imagery that includes vision, taste and sound as Saint Peter approaches the cottage and sees the old women baking the cakes, then turns the women into a woodpecker that can be heard tapping on a tree. And then there are more examples of imagery like but all the rest of her clothes were burnt last. So it's also an imagery here. And then stanza 16 again, black as coal in the flame. You can see black as coal in the flame. So this is also an example of imagery. Then boring and boring for food. The little women is now seen as woodpecker. So these are the examples of imagery in the poem. Another poetic device used in the poem is alliteration, that is the repetition of consonant sound in two or more close words. See the stanza 1, last line, that they them through. The sound is repeated. Okay. Then stanza 2, they, the sound is repeated. Now look like, you can see stanza 2, look like, line 3rd, look like. Okay, I sound is repeated. Then furry, funny, furry. See the same line, same stanza, 4th line, funny, furry. Fur sound is repeated. Then stanza 3rd, they, them. Okay, you can notice they, them. The sound is repeated. Then yet, you. Your sound is repeated. Then learn, lesson. L sound is repeated. This is all in stanza 3rd. Then tell, tale, to. T sound is repeated. Now look at stanza 5. women, was. Okay, were sound is repeated. Then same stanza, them, the hearth, the sound is repeated. Now look at stanza 6, faint fasting. You can notice faint fasting. See the last stanza of the page. Faint fasting, fa sound is repeated. Still smaller, sa sound is repeated. Stanza 8. Okay, next page. You can notice stanza number 8. Still smaller. Do you see? Still smaller, sa sound is repeated. Then stanza 9, took tiny, ta sound is repeated. Stanza 10, seen small, sa sound is repeated. Then stanza 13, build birds, ba sound is repeated. Okay. Next, same stanza, by boring, boring, ba sound is repeated. Now another poetic device used in the poem is repetition. Okay, repetition, any word or sentences is repeated to lay emphasis on it. Like in stanza 1, away, word is repeated. See, away, away 2 times. So this is repetition, figure of speech. Stanza 9, see the third stanza of the page, stanza 9, rolled, word is repeated. Okay, you can see, and rolled it flat. So rolled, word is repeated. So it's also the example of repetition. Then stanza 13 and 16. 13, boring, word is repeated. Another poetic device used in the poem is enjambment. Okay, enjambment, running lines of poetry from one to the next without using any kind of punctuation mark to indicate a stop, like full stop, comma, semicolon. Okay, like that. Like stanza 1, line 3 and 4. You can notice line 3 and 4 of first stanza. You can notice that there is not any punctuation mark. So this is the example of enjambment. Then stanza 2 is also the stanza 1. In stanza 1, line 1, second, line 3rd and 4th. There is not any, you cannot find out any punctuation mark. Then line 3rd and 4th, and stanza 4th, line 1 and 2nd, 3rd and 4th. Next stanza 10, line 1st and 2nd and then 3rd. And then stanza 11, line and 1st and 2nd. These are the example of enjambment. Okay, what is enjambment? Running lines of poetry from one to the next without using any punctuation mark. Punctuation mark that indicates a stop, full stop or little pause. Okay. Now another poetic device used in the poem is simile. What is simile? Simile is comparison. Okay, using as or like in stanza 2nd. The children look like bears' cubs. You can see clearly use of word like. So it's the good example of simile. Children compared to bears' cubs. Okay. Stanza 9. Baked. It thin as a wafer cake is compared to a wafer. Okay. See, bake it thin as wafer. So use of word as is showing simile here. So cake is compared to a wafer. Here comparison is done, so that's why it's a simile. Then stanza 15. Clothes were burned black as coal, as coal. So this is again simile here. the color of the burned cloth is compared to that of coal. Means burnt clothes are compared to coal. So this is also example of simile here. Now next poetic device used in the poem is allusion. What is allusion? Allusion is a reference to the statement, person, place, etc. from history, literature, religion or any kind. Okay, like in stanza 4th, you can notice stanza 4th, Saint Peter. Saint Peter is the example of allusion here, because Saint Peter is a person from, he is a religious person, you can say historical person, either historical person or religious person. Means he is referred as religious person. Understand? Now next is assonance, repetition of vowel sounds, like stanza 1, away, away. So that's all about the use of poetic devices in the poem. Okay. To conclude A Legend of the Northland, the poem conveys the message that as human beings, we should have positive qualities like affection, love, fellow feelings, sympathy, and generosity, and sense of sharing. The poem emphasizes the idea that people with negative inhuman values like selfishness, greed, and cruelty are ultimately punished. So that's all about A Legend of the Northland. Thank you so much.